Feel good.
You good girl? You good girl?
That, and Sonia says, the fact she no longer sees an addict when she looks in the mirror. She's looking forward to the first clean Christmas she's had in years, though she admits she's taking it one day at a time.
Sonia's story was widely reported in the media, and it forced the Newfoundland government to take action. A task force was set up to study the problem of OxyContin abuse. It urged doctors to cut down on the number of prescriptions they issue. It suggested new ways to educate people about the dangers of this kind of drug abuse. And it recommended the province provide OxyContin addicts with new and better forms of treatment. So Sonia not only managed to save herself, she may have helped save a lot of other lives as well. And that's News in Review. I'm Carla Robinson. Thanks for watching. River rescue. This Quebec river was dying until a small group of residents set out to save it.
We were four crazy guys wanting to do our best
to try to clean it up and bring back the salmon.
This is a place where we had trouble with plastic being thrown into the small river here.
But will their efforts be enough? Today on News in Review, River of Dreams. Hello, I'm Carla Robinson. Canada is a country with many magnificent rivers. They have helped shape our history. We depend on them for so much, from drinking water to just having fun. But these days, many of those rivers are not as magnificent as they once were. Many of them are now heavily polluted, poisoned by industrial, agricultural, and human waste. Some of them are so polluted, nothing lives in them anymore. Quebec's Etchemin River used to be one of those lifeless bodies of water. It runs north across the province from the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains near the border with Maine to just south of Quebec City, where it empties into the mighty St. Lawrence. Once upon a time, the Etchemin was a great salmon river, but the salmon started to disappear about 100 years ago, and the river was so polluted nobody even dreamed they'd ever be back, until four friends did about 12 years ago. But they didn't just dream about it, they did something about it. Here's the CBC's Lynn Robson with their story and the story of their River of Dreams.
It begins as a tranquil lake and meanders its way north through farms and small towns. It's often shallow, even restful. Then suddenly it's a gushing cascade. Finally, 100 kilometers upstream, in the shadow of Quebec City, it merges with the St. Lawrence and turns east out to sea. It is the Etchemin River, and the river is André Belle's passion. History, he says, is written in the Etchemin River.
A good part of the history of Quebec starts here, and it was the first colonized river, really, the one that made white people in Abinaki live together, and that's here where the Quebec really started, or Canada if you want. There's a lot of history attached to the river.
The Etchemin defines this region southeast of Quebec City. Nearly everyone lives or works close to the river. In good times and bad, the fortune of the river has determined the fortune of the people, and fortune has not always been kind.
200 years ago, the Etchemin River was an industrial hotspot. There were flour mills and sawmills and dams built to control the level of the water. Most of the mills are gone now, but what they left behind was enough pollution to kill the river's other claim to fame, salmon.
Once this was a famous salmon site.
Well, in its heyday, they used to bring out barrels and barrels of fish from here, salmon.
Jenya Kedney is a biologist who lives near the Etchemin. She says the disappearance of the salmon in the mills left the Etchemin impoverished and polluted. It became one of the 10 most polluted rivers in Quebec. It's been almost 100 years since salmon were plentiful here. The fish died. The dream didn't.
On rêve que le saumon remonte dans la rivière. Hein?
We dream that the salmon will come back to the Etchemin, says Michel Huard. He's unlikely to even see a salmon today, but in the tradition of fishing fans everywhere, Huard never gives up hope.
Ça c'est quoi?
Voilier bigger, noir.
At the end of his fishing line is a black woolly bugger, favored by salmon fans.
Surtout pour l'archigan.
That local passion for salmon inspired a small group of environmentalists. 12 years ago, André Belil and his friends vowed to transform the Etchemin and bring back the salmon.
We were 4 crazy guys wanting to do our best to bring back all the fishes and all the species that should be here, but the salmon was like the cherry on the sundae, if you want. So we went for it, even though everybody said that it would never work.
Rescuing the river seemed a whale-sized job. The obstacles were large, especially the 80-foot waterfall and hydroelectric dam, whose turbines could turn any passing fish into fillets.
Yeah, that's bigger than I thought.
This was the River Committee's first victory, construction of a fish channel that allows safe downstream passage. Then they took on the industrial polluters.
This is a place where we had trouble with plastic being thrown into the small river here.
One by one, over a decade, companies that polluted were aggressively targeted and fined. The payoff was huge. Pollution levels began to drop for the first time in a long time. Now the committee's focus is here. Agriculture is the new high-polluting industry in the region, so relations between farmers and environmental activists have not always been easy. But farmer Paul-Henri Grenier found a lot of common ground between him and the River Committee. Grenier's fertile farmland started sinking into the Etchemin. He's lost 8 meters of shoreline this spring alone. Potentially, agricultural waste is leaking into the river. Grenier's working with the River Committee on a $100,000 plan to repair the riverbank.
Parce qu'on est conscient qu'au bout de la ligne, là,
In the end, there will be 2 winners, he says, me and them, and the river will be more beautiful.
notre rivière va rester plus belle.
Signs of cooperation, signs of hope for the Etchemin's once troubled waters.
I think in general people's attitudes are changing. I mean, they're seeing the river as something to invest in rather than to turn their backs to.
Here is the future, or at least future residents of the Etchemin River. 200 baby salmon in a fish tank at the local elementary school.
Bon, ben là, on va regarder la température.
Grade 5 students Patricia Laflamme and Pascal Lacasse have come to do the daily fish inspection. They check the water temperature, make note of it. It's a ritual that started when the salmon arrived 4 months ago.
C'était des petits œufs roses.
When they came, they were just little pink eggs, says Pascal. They hatched and have been growing ever since. The same fishy experiment is going on in 11 schools in the region. In all, about 2,000 baby salmon are being hand-raised by school children.
Moi, j'adore ça.
I love it, says Patricia. We learn about the environment, and it gives us responsibility
Ça
too.
me donne des responsabilités aussi, hein.
Les poules, ils ont leurs œufs, hein, puis il est...
Salmon is used as a vehicle to teach just about every subject, from vocabulary and spelling to math and regional history. Sometimes the lessons begin here and continue out of doors. Today, the kids are planting trees on the riverbank. It's another project of the River Restoration Committee.
Ouais, puis je vais te donner ici un petit ruban.
Véronique Dugré tells the students the trees they plant will strengthen the riverbank, that will attract more insects, and that will provide more food for the salmon.
On va aller l'autre côté de la rivière.
It's challenging work. The soil is hard and root-ridden, but the children don't seem to mind.
Dans une dizaine d'années, on va probablement
In a
commencer à
dozen
avoir
years or so, we'll have big trees, she says.
Ben, pour les poissons, pour qu'il y ait de l'ombre.
We're creating shade for the fish, says 10-year-old Sabrina. If the river gets too hot, the fish will die. Caring for the river and hands-on environmental training is just part of the curriculum here.
Pour les sensibiliser aussi là, à l'environnement. Là.
They are very committed to having the salmon come back to the river soon, says Véronique Dugré.
Oui, c'est ça, surtout ici là, à Saint-Léon.
Just how soon the salmon might come back is a matter of debate. André Bellil believes that within 5 years, salmon fishing tourists will line the river, bringing money into this economically depressed region.
All the money that they spend in hotel, meals, buying equipment for fishing, even having to go to the gas station and all that. So it brings, every time somebody catches a salmon, it brings $1,000 in the economy.
But there is a hurdle, the provincial government. For as long as the River Committee has dreamed of salmon, the Department of Environment has said, no, not yet.
We're just a little more lukewarm, maybe, than they are about the salmon reintroduction program.
Luc Major is a government biologist. He says the goal of the River Committee should be restoring trout, not salmon, to the Etchemin.
Once the trout will be back, that will be the sign to say, okay, now the river is in good shape. The trout is back. So now what are we doing now that the river is in a good state? Are we choosing or are we favoring more a species than the other?
The province says it could be 5 or 15 years before the Etchemin is ready for salmon, if ever. But the committee members say the salmon are already here.
The government's position on salmon was no salmon. I mean, since then we've worked on smallmouth bass, no problem. We've worked on brook trout, no problem. It's when you start talking salmon that there's a problem. They really don't want to talk about salmon until they feel that the river is totally ready to receive salmon, but I'm sorry, we have salmon knocking at the door right now.
Salmon knocking at the door. It seems impossible, or at least unlikely.
So is it a dream? Is it just a dream?
It was until 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we started to hear from fishermen in Lévis that they saw and caught salmon. And 3 years ago, we had an official from the government to come and identify a salmon in the river.
But it would be more in this area out here.
And then, last fall, the ultimate salmon sighting.
Ah oui, je l'ai vu, oui.
Oh yes, I saw it, says Michel Huard. What he claims he saw was salmon spawning in the mouth of the Etchemin River. He saw it. In fact, just about everyone claims to have seen the famous fish, including Véronique Dugré.
Ah, il était à peu près gros comme ça. Puis
The male was big, the female even bigger, she says. It was exciting.
ouais, c'est ça, c'était vraiment mâle-femelle. C'est excitant.
That single sighting of salmon laying eggs last autumn fired the faith of the believers and convinced others that having salmon in the Etchemin is more than a dream. But not everyone believes in the miracle.
It could be salmons coming from elsewhere, and they just found a nice spot and they spawned there. But I think it's wonderful that the people, that this kind of thing make the people dream, because the dreamers, I think the dreamers make the world turn.
The government remains skeptical. The children are not. On the day when the fish are old enough to feed themselves, the grade 5 students take their tiny charges, all 200 of them, to a quiet turn in the river. They're told the salmon will live here for 3 years before heading for the Atlantic. And though the kids have raised the fish from eggs, releasing them is not sad, says Patricia Laflamme.
On sait qu'il y en a probablement quelques-uns qui vont revenir.
They'll come back, she says. Well, 4 or 5 of them will come back.
4, 5 qui vont revenir.
Finally, the last of the fish wiggle free. And so, for now at least, the dream has become reality. Salmon once again abound in the Etchemin River.
It'll be years before we know whether the salmon have really returned to the Etchemin River. But the people who set out to try to bring them back have already accomplished a great deal. They have shown that when people join together to fight pollution, they can even bring a river back to life again. And that's News in Review. I'm Carla Robinson. Thanks for watching.